Paranoia can sometimes lead to dangerous actions. When someone feels as though an entity is out to get them, they have the capacity to lash out with violence. This was the case for Nasim Aghdam, a woman who posted videos on YouTube, but the content she was posting wasn't always the type of content that YouTube would prefer to have on their site, leading to Nasim to think that YouTube was personally trying to silence her, while in reality it wasn't personal, and the company wasn't singling her out to make an example. It was all in Nasim Aghdam's head. Nasim was born on April 5th, 1979, in Iran. Her parents were of the Baha'i faith, which is persecuted in Iran, so therefore her parents immigrated to the United States. It also helped that Nasim's father had a business opportunity there. The topic of religion I tend to try not to cover unless it's important, and in this case it is, because it was through the Baha'i faith that Nasim became vegan. This isn't because the religion forbids eating meat. It is because the core principles of the religion, which in simple terms, it teaches unity in religion and unity in people. Nasim decided to incorporate animals into that second part. Thus, she became vegan. Nasim also didn't wish to leave her country. She had a strong sense of identity, and living in a different country wasn't an option she wanted. So when her family came to the United States in 1996, it was against her wishes. They moved to Riverside County, California when Nasim was a teenager. To keep her heritage, she tended to speak in Farsi, though she did know English. She also had a habit of being overly critical of people eating meat. She railed against other Baha'i practitioners and Muslims for this. She also got into fights with her own family over their insistence not to follow in her footsteps. Nasim didn't really take to America that much. In fact, she closed herself off from the world around her. Instead, she found herself perpetually online. She rarely interacted with people in real life, which is not a healthy thing to do. You need to get out once in a while and be around others. Sheltering yourself and isolating yourself is not mentally healthy, and it gets worse if you're online all day as well. Humans are social animals. We need to get out of the house once in a while and be around others. She did join PETA in protests against the United States Marines. They were using pigs to train soldiers how to deal with wounds. They would intentionally wound the pig in order for the soldier to train in treating a wound. Once that was done, the pig was killed. I'm not always on PETA's side, but they had a point with this. But most of the time, Nasim isolated herself. No boyfriends, very few friends, and most of her time was spent online, where she had multiple accounts on YouTube, she had a Facebook page, and Telegram. Her YouTube accounts were in the languages of Farsi, Azerbaijani, English, and Turkish. This is where she would go viral in her homeland of Iran, and where she tended to post with reckless abandonment. Nasim's content was varied. She danced, she modeled, and all of them were slightly weird.
Nice to meet you, can I kiss you? I could show you hidden things. Pain, sadness, hate, crime, saw your food, oh my brain. Look at that meat, it looks like your next heart attack. Life's a game, wanna play.
به چه دریایی، چه دریای خوشگل آبی، چه آسمونی، چقدر کیف داره شنا کردن توی این دریا. وای وای چقدر کیف داره، چقدر اینجا با آرامش صلح و صفا این دنیا چقدر خوشگله.
She had started her YouTube career in 2010, and it seemed her style didn't evolve past that date. 2010 YouTube was a completely different site than what it is today. I mean, just look at Shane Dawson's earlier videos. You know the ones he half-assed apologized over. Other things that you can find on early YouTube were bootleg anime, bootleg TV shows, bootleg movies, white people saying the N-word, lots of swearing, graphic content, and everyone's favorite, porn.
For porn!
and at least one of those was sprinkled into Nasim's content, and it wasn't porn. I'm just gonna say, I'm only gonna show her milder content because this video would get taken down if I showed her more graphic content. You see, she decided to share graphic videos of animals getting killed to try to prove a point. That point being, to show meat eaters what they are supporting, which I will be completely honest, I have seen vegans use this tactic before of shocking people, and I really don't understand it. See any of that vegan teacher's content, and you can argue that she is using similar context to try to get people to become vegan, though hers is more authoritarian than shocking. There's a vegan on Instagram named Deep Vegan who, in order to shock people into becoming vegan, stated that 9/11 was a good thing because people who eat meat died in the attacks. And yes, I too believe that this man is a dickhead. I do not understand this line of promoting anything. If anything, it would drive people away from your core message. It will make them hate you, not like you. It will make them hate the message, not like the message. Shocking someone into supporting a cause only makes the cause look bad. But that is just my opinion. Nasim grew a pretty sizable following on YouTube and was making money off the site. That was until 2016. That's when things changed. Oh goody, we get to talk about the shift to more family-friendly content on YouTube. The bane of the existence of everyone who does true crime videos, commentary, or just wants to talk about hentai and their waifus. So this shift to more family-friendly content began in August of 2016, and it affected so many channels. In 2017, PewDiePie decided to upload a video. You know the video I'm talking about. That video. The one from Fiverr. That involved people holding up a sign that was pretty bad. Let's just say the Tiny Mustache Club would have liked it, which some advertisers pulled ads from YouTube over this video. Not a good look for my man crush, but he apologized for the video and explained it away. And I am not defending Pewds on this one. It was a stupid thing to do, and he knows it. He even got condemned by the UK government over it, by the way. So I'm pretty sure that he knew he done goofed up. Then you have Elsagate. Moving on. Then you have Logan Paul in February of 2018 being a complete douche and going to Japan. You know, the video where he filmed the dead body and then decided in his infinite wisdom that he should post it on the internet.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
These were the major events that led to crackdowns on YouTube, and Nasim felt the blowback of this, because her content sometimes went edgy. And YouTube decided that edgy wasn't a good look right now, so a lot of her videos got demonetized. Normally, a good content creator learns to evolve and overcome situations, you know, like YouTube changing its business model. But Nasim? Yeah, she didn't believe in evolution. Her videos looked low quality, even in 2016. She still wanted to show off a variety of things instead of like one or two, and her mental health was suffering. She began to think that non-vegan businesses were out to get her, ranting on social media and on YouTube that there was a conspiracy against her, including one time when a nail ended up in the tire of her car. She claimed that an anti-vegan business were trying to kill her. A sane person would be like, wow, I just ran over a nail. And if they really wanted to kill her, why would they just puncture her tire? She was losing it, and people began to notice. She was asked a bunch of times if she had a mental illness, which she always replied that she didn't. But she would also state that she lived in a world that was full of disease, disorders, perversions, and injustice, which, yes. And you can find all of them on Discord. But this comes off as more egotistical than stating fact. Like she was above all of that, which she was human. So therefore, she was not above all of that. And she definitely had delusions of grandeur. It was in 2017 that her issues with YouTube began. Her videos got less views. Her subscriber count dropped. Here's the thing. If it is one channel that was happening to, then those with multiple channels would just focus on content for the other channels that are still growing. Nasim had 4 channels, and all 4 were seeing these declines. Her YouTube model was that she would do the same videos for each channel, and the only thing that would change is the language that was in them. For example, one channel she would speak in Farsi and then upload the video, and the same content would be uploaded to another channel where instead of speaking Farsi, she would speak English. Her revenue was declining, to the point that some videos only made 10 cents, and she was complaining about this. Instead of attempting to do something like change her presentation style or contact YouTube to figure out what was going on, no, she thought that she was being shadow banned on the platform and they were out to get her because she was vegan, which was the farthest furthest thing from the truth. You see, the guidelines at this time on YouTube were being implemented, but they were not fully fleshed out yet, which means a lot of channels would see a drop in ad revenue until guidelines were fully put into place, or something along those lines. It's very technical and I don't know crap about it. To put it simply, YouTube was changing, and Nasim felt like YouTube was being a big old meanie head for not paying her for her weird content, which still included graphic videos of animals being killed or abused. So even if YouTube wasn't updating their guidelines and algorithm, she still probably wouldn't be monetized for her videos. Nasim decided that YouTube was evil and would even protest this on street corners, claiming that YouTube's supposed censoring of her is suppression of the truth, that YouTube was a dictatorship, promotes stupidity, and other batshit insane things. Well, I cannot argue the promote stupidity thing. Just look at social media influencers. But they aren't a dictatorship. They are a company, and they want to make money. So therefore, they are going to put policies in place so that they can at least have revenue. There is so much more I can say about this, like the fact that she decided to compare YouTube to Hitler. But I will just say she seemed like an unlikable person to begin with. And the more I look into her, the more I can find that doesn't paint her in a very positive light. While she had good intentions, trying to raise awareness for animal abuses, it doesn't come off like that was the point of why she was angry, because she made it about herself and how she felt YouTube was silencing her.
I'm being discriminated and filtered on YouTube, and I'm not the only one. So recently, they also attacked my Persian channel, Nasim Aghdam. And if you go and check my videos, you see that my new videos hardly get views, and my old videos that used to get many views stopped getting views.
Her home life wasn't much better. She still lived with her parents even though by 2018, she was pushing 40. Because her parents didn't live a vegan lifestyle, they constantly butted heads. And it got worse to the point she moved out of her parents' home and into the home of her elderly grandmother in San Diego. You would think that would help, but it didn't help at all. It further isolated her with only one person to talk to on a regular basis. And she was just as active online as she had been in years past, to the point she began to feel as though she needed to do something about the injustice she felt that she was suffering. An injustice that was all in her head and not real. I have seen the phrase touch grass thrown around. She, at this point, needed to do that. To just turn off the computer for a long while, go outside, and try to be social. But she didn't want that. She wanted to feel those negative thoughts and stew in her own hate. On March 31st, 2018, Nasim got in her car and left, breaking contact with her family and leaving. Her family became worried and contacted the police to file a missing persons report. But because Nasim was an adult, this wasn't seen as a priority. But the family had a right to be worried, because Nasim purchased a gun, a 9mm Smith & Wesson semi-automatic handgun, and they all knew she was not in the best mind frame. So when police saw her car the morning of April 2nd in a Walmart parking lot in Mountain View, California, they stopped, because the license plate had flagged Nasim as a missing person with a priority in finding her. But the reason for that priority was not listed in the report, and even dispatch didn't have an idea of why. So they called the dispatch for Riverside County to figure it out, where even Riverside County had no idea why it was flagged. But the police couldn't do anything with Nasim because she wasn't presenting to them as a danger to herself or others. But if the police officer who had stopped by her car had been paying attention a little more than what they did, they would have seen something that was a red flag, according to experts.
Are you taking any type of medication at all? No. Are you supposed to take medication? Okay. You don't want to hurt yourself, do you? Or you don't want to hurt anybody else? You don't want to commit suicide or anything like that, right? Okay.
As she talks to police, she is facing towards them while answering questions. There is one moment, though, where she turns her head completely away from them. When they ask if she wants to hurt herself or anyone, she looks downwards and shakes her head. For some, in hindsight, that is a red flag police should have picked up on. That she seemed to not want to answer that and didn't want them to see her face as she answered. But I do not fault police for this. They had no idea that she was dangerous. They didn't know she had a gun on her. They saw someone as non-threatening and just wanted to be left alone, so they left her alone. But that same day, she went to a gun range, preparing herself for what she was about to do.
Area 908. Avenue. They identified a female in a white shirt. And that's the one we have down in the center court area with the gunshot wound in the chest.
Chilling new police radio communications tonight from the YouTube shooting and the very first video tonight of the shooter. She is from Southern California, and KCAL 9 has learned she had a grudge against the social media site. Investigators say the suspected shooter was a YouTube personality who had recently gotten angry with the website.
KCAL 9's Tina Patel live in Menifee, where she spoke to the woman's family. Tina?
On April 3rd, 2018, Nasim Aghdam showed up at YouTube's headquarters at 12:46 p.m. She walked through an outside door and onto a patio where employees were having lunch, and she opened fire, wounding 3 people in the process and 1 critically. Employees scrambled for safety while those inside locked the doors and dialed 911. 2 minutes later, the police arrived, and Nasim Aghdam turned the gun on herself. She would be the only casualty of this shooting. All her social medias were erased from the internet shortly after this. She is a rarity. Normally mass shooters are men. In this case, it was a woman. And the normal thoughts and prayers were tweeted out by actors, musicians, politicians, and those of the more famous variety. YouTube did release a statement the next day thanking emergency workers. Nasim Aghdam, in my opinion, wasn't mentally stable. It might be in hindsight, but her eyes give away this anger and hatred that she was hiding under the surface. She seemed like a miserable person, and that has nothing to do with being vegan. I am talking about her only, not vegans in general. Ever since she came to this country, she had a chip on her shoulder. She didn't wish to leave Iran. She didn't like the United States. So she isolated herself more and more, spending more and more time online than attempting to be social in real life. I think this isolation and living her life online didn't help matters. I think it grew her rage and hatred to the point that it couldn't be contained. I will say she seemed the type of person I would avoid because of how unlikable she comes across as. But in the end, she became consumed by her rage, lashed out, but she was the only one to pay for her anger.